So this is a chapter analysis of chapters 12 to 14 of Wild Swans, aka Tame Birds. So at 6, Erhung begins school. A new system is implemented where children help gather scrap iron, which is melted down by teachers and older students, while the younger students babysit and clean the teachers' apartments. At the hospital, doctors and nurses are also responsible for melting down iron. People are no longer allowed to eat at home, but eat in communal kitchens. Everyone is forced to say that they'll produce outrageous feasts, huge animals or vegetables, and even doctors say that they've cured incurable diseases. There became no incentive to actually do work, and those in agriculture just simply stopped harvesting. There was no actual harvest, and there's also propaganda for these harvests that said that they produced more harvest than there actually was. So, Erhung also has grown up believing that the children in the West are deprived of food and even the most basic necessities. However, her brother Jinming is skeptical of the propaganda and becomes interested in scientific Western magazines. Chang, Shouyi, and Dihong are in constant contact with the children's teachers and consistently urge them toward academic excellence and provide extra lessons in tutoring. The family members have also evolved over the decades and begun facing typical, more modern family issues, such as concerns with Jinming's education. Erhung wants to be helpful as a Boy Scout, and this type of help has become very popular. So she sometimes sees men pulling heavy carts up in the street and will put her way into pushing to ease their burdens. But then one day a classmate tells her that these are enemies of the state and that she shouldn't help them. So she asks the teachers and they have no answers for her, and this makes her even more confused, as she doesn't understand what class enemies are. She's also pulled into Chairman Mao's teachings, and many of the literature books in her school contain writings and propaganda by Mao. So let's talk about the questions now. The first question that I asked was, what negative and positive impacts did the new system have in place for the family? My group thought that in terms of education, it was rather stressful because of the fact that they had to do all this tedious extra labor. There wasn't anything positive that the group had to say about the new system that was in place because there were a lot of negatives. For example, people starving because of the low supply of food and the no actual incentive to do the work, and the fact that the harvest just completely plummeted. And the second question was, if Dihong had to summarize the way she felt about the Cultural Revolution in one sentence, what would it be? One group member, Abby Luck, wrote, "The Cultural Revolution is nothing but a traumatizing event filled with lies and innocence between Mao and his citizens." I find this really interesting because although in the book there were some parts where Dihong was sort of skeptical about the system, she did have some positive perspective on it. So I found it really interesting how Abby just included the negative, and I wonder why she thought that. So for the third question, I asked, what do you think the children's perspective is on this new system and work required for them and why? So the main thing that I gathered from the question, the answers was stressful, as they were doing such terrible labor and whatever. But on the positive side, at least for them, for their perspective, was the fact that they thought that the Western countries were doing really poorly as well, so I guess that lifted their spirits. Today, the students are told that Mao has observed many students wearing glasses, a sign that they're harming their eyes by working too hard, and asked to spend 15 minutes every morning doing exercises meant to strengthen their eyes. Erhung admits that she wept in gratitude for Mao's concern. This obviously shows that Mao is trying to show that he cares about the children and their education, which is on top of the propaganda for the West countries, which is also very manipulative. So yeah, that's the general consensus of the children's perspective on the new system. For the last question, I asked, in Chapter 14, Erhung wants to be helpful and volunteer as a Boy Scout, and help by pulling heavy carts into the streets, lifting heavy items, etc. However, her classmates tell her that the people who do such things are enemies of the state, and that she should not help. Can you relate this to another war/revolution where propaganda and government ranking/hierarchy in society were corrupt and venal? Abby related it to one of these posters in World War I, which was, "Daddy, what did you do in the Great War?" Because it was to persuade men that in the future their children would judge them. Daphne, she related it to this other Cultural Revolution book, which is Mao's Last Answer, where a character was accused of having capitalist thoughts and was thus sentenced to humiliation and hard physical labor. So that's the analysis of the answers for my book club. Thank you very much.